Welcome to another episode of Autisable Dads, Life with Autism, from a parent's perspective. With each episode, Rob and I talk with media professionals, business owners, and nonprofits to discuss what they are doing to help families get the services they need and how the public perceives autism. We also talk with other autism parents and autistic individuals about their life and autism. Okay, so one of the things that we're always asked, or at least I'm always asked, is if you've ever thought about starting your own podcast, what should I do? Well, we got on Anchor because when we were trying to figure out how to distribute content or how to be able to record easily, Anchor's worked best for us. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors you want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hello, welcome to this edition of Autisable Dads. It is slightly a different edition. This one is just me sharing something that's very close to my heart that I think a lot of autism dads and parents need to hear. It is something that I went through and at times do go through because I'm just a parent trying to struggle through this challenge of parenting, let alone being an autism parent. Now, what I'm about to share is something that some people say, oh, you shouldn't share that. In fact, I wrote a blog post on this called The Grief is Real on autisable.com. And I'm just going to read what I shared, but I want to preempt what I'm reading on the fact that this has no bearing on the fact that I love my son very much. It's not about making our kids feel bad. It's about the emotions that we as parents go through. It is a challenge parenting by itself. So I don't want to sound too harsh. In fact, it's taken many years to gather my thoughts on this subject, as it can be a point of contention among many within the autism community. Parenting a child with autism is very challenging, and at moments full of struggle and grief. We hear it and we can see the moms cry on a YouTube video and feel empathy for their struggle. We as parents get chastised for being the voice of our kids by those who are autistic because we may not often get it right. We often get those stares from other parents and adults for having a child that doesn't conform to societal norms and acts out of sensory issues because that's the only way that they know how to communicate. Sometimes those stares come with well-meaning intentions on how to fix my child, with what resources could benefit him the most. Now, I'm not looking for sympathy, nor am I looking for any praise. I do not consider myself an inspiring person. I'm just a dad who struggles with his own role as a special needs parent. This struggle has been going on now for over 16 years. Some of it is just being a dad. As, you know, all of us dads wonder if they ever do right by their own kids. After all, we may not admit it, but many of us dads would go around the world and back again to make our kids smile, even if it means we get no credit for it. Other times the struggles present themselves because I don't think I'll ever know what my son's passion is, what he desires to share with the world, as my own son's ability to express himself forces me to reflect upon my own actions, time and time again. I've had to learn the hard way that although my son doesn't speak a lot of words, he does have a lot more to say with just the look on his face. In all honesty, I truly believe he got that trait from his mother, which makes me smile even more. Sure, I rejoice at his laughter, his happiness, his joy. Of course I get excited when he sees me and gives me a big hug. And I also recognize that he sees me when I'm hurt or sad and wants to put his hand on my shoulder to just mean, I got you, Dad. It's cool. Now, autism does that for a parent. It forces us to think. It encourages us as parents to admit that we aren't enough. And you know what? That should be okay. But let's face it, we often feel that it's never enough. The sad truth is, grief is ever present in parenting a special needs child. And like the loss of a loved one, that grief can come in waves, often when normal things come about. There are times when I sit alone on the front porch of my home, watching the neighborhood kids at play, while my son is asleep for his afternoon nap. They play a simple game of hide and seek, and chase each other and laugh and play. There are times when I see my nephew at a baseball game pitching his heart out, or my friends and their kids adventure off to see a movie, or even just to go to the grocery store. I often see these moments when scrolling through news feeds on Facebook or Instagram. I smile, and I appreciate their accomplishments or experiences, but knowing that many of those moments just won't happen for me right now. These normal everyday moments I take in, and have to accept the fact that my own son is brave enough to get on the bus to school daily in a world that doesn't understand him, and still thrives and pushes through his day as though it is his normal. He lives in this world, and, well, we're just a part of it. You see, as being a parent, we struggle between these worlds. The world we all live in on a daily basis as part of society, and the world our kid shows us. A simpler, kinder, often more fulfilling world where things are more in order than we could ever make it. Being a parent means being a bridge between these two worlds, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy translating his actions and own way of communicating with everyone else. But we do it. We love him. We want the world to see how truly amazing he is. However, year after year, the reminders of what could have been creep out of nowhere to say that this isn't you or this never will be you. These are reminders of those expectations as parents that will forever be lost. Or, what I've discovered, changed. Because the road we live as special needs parents is much different than most other parents. Battles with family and friends who don't understand come and go. Only they get revisited and served as reminders that this walk is often alone. Friends often distance themselves, and family may often not want to visit or would rather you visit with them, not truly understanding what that means or entails. The explanation to the school systems, where we have to write the same documents year after year because for whatever reason, they don't read the file of the previous year and things haven't changed in 12 weeks. Or the new neighbor you have to run out and meet looks at you strange because you need to make sure that if there is a kid that doesn't speak well verbally who lives at your home and is acting different, runs over to their house, is probably yours. Or if there is a meltdown occurring, please don't worry. He's going through a lot at the moment. For those parents who have a partner in this journey, we're a lucky bunch. We have each other to tag team on daily issues. But often we relish in moments not always talking about autism or our kids. We want to have fun like anyone else. For those who are going through this, essentially alone, you have to do far more in communication with your family and community to create that safe environment for your kid than we do. But these moments of grief strike us when we least expect it. Like at the end of the day, when all went well. No meltdowns, no sensory issues, no stimming, and he falls asleep taking a nap, while I'm on my front porch watching the neighborhood's kids play a simple game of hide and seek. Now, I want you to understand that grief isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's an entirely normal thing. Accepting that it's real and that these moments come and go is also a good thing, and it's a healthy thing. I'm sharing this thought with you because I know that as a parent of an autistic child, these thoughts were never shared with me. These are things I struggled with, and I know there are parents out there that struggle with this too. I'm also sharing this to help professionals and families who may have a relative who is autistic understand this part of parenting a child with autism. So, what can you do? Well, it's pretty simple. Be present and listen, and feel free to ask us about other things beyond the subject of autism. One more thing I learned from my son: enjoy the moment and have some fun. It's gonna be okay. Thank you for listening to this edition of Autisable Dads, Life with Autism from a Parent's Perspective. More often than not, we tend to talk a lot with other people. This particular edition is just some insight that I share from my perspective. Feel free to reach out to us at autisable.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, as well as several other social media outlets. You can also become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/autisable. Thank you.